Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you all very much for the invitation to speak with you guys today. You are all people that I look up to, and welcome home. Let's see. Okay, yeah, so first slide. My name is Anthony Cunha. I served in the Marine Corps from 2002 to 2006, always with 3rd Battalion, 2nd Marines. When I first got there, I was with Lima Company. That's just in the regular infantry. I was a rifleman, 0311. After my first tour in Afghanistan, my platoon sergeant was slated to be the Scout Sniper platoon platoon sergeant after we got back from Afghanistan. He saw a lot of hope and promise in me, not really sure why, but he asked me to go out for the indoc for the Scout Sniper platoon. I was one of 4 guys who passed the indoc out of 24 Marines. It was a grueling 7 days worth of hazing, basically. But it was fun. So a little bit about the sniper rifle that we used in the Marine Corps, and I say used because Scout Snipers are no longer in the Marine Corps. They were disbanded in 2023. I don't know if you guys ever knew that, but yeah, basically there are no more Scout Sniper schools. There are just recon and MARSOC Marines who have the ability to shoot long distances, but there are no more designated Scout Snipers in the Marine Corps. But this is the almost identical rifle that I used in the Marine Corps from 2003 about till 2006. It is the M40A3. It is a bolt-action 7.62 millimeter NATO sniper rifle used by the Marine Corps, designated as the sniper rifle. The M40 is built on a Remington 700 short-action frame. It features a Macmillan A4 stock, Schneider barrel, Unerdl fixed 10-power optic, and some other Marine Corps specific components. And it is 100% built by 2112s, which are Marine Corps armorers. It is very heavy. It's about 19 pounds unloaded. And it only carries 5 rounds in the mag. It's an internal, this version of the M40, this version, the M40A3, has an internal box magazine, not an external magazine. And then this picture is a picture from 29 Palms, CAX, when we were out in Mojave Viper, training out in California, training for going over to Iraq. We spent about two and a half months out in 29 Palms, doing a whole bunch of different mission prep for Iraq. And this is my team leader, Carl Schaefer. He's still living in Virginia somewhere. But that's him and his rifle, and the rifle's name was Ferrara. It's good to name your rifles. This is a picture of my ghillie suit that I made while I was in the Marine Corps about 2003. It is also right here, and I'm just realizing that it's a little further back than I probably should have intended to put it. The ghillie suit and the skeleton, my daughter named Hector, just so you guys know. When I was putting it together one night, she said, "That can't stay in the house. You need to put it outside because it's scary." I said, "That's fine. I can put it outside." It lives outside, basically. But a ghillie suit is a specialized handmade camouflage garment designed to conceal snipers by breaking up the human silhouette and allowing them to blend into natural surroundings. Constructed from netting covered in jute, burlap, or other synthetic threads. These suits are vegetated with local foliage to become virtually invisible to enemy observation. So basically what you would do is this is essentially what your ghillie suit is, but it's not 100% in this state. When you get out into a vegetative state, or like we were in Iraq, your atmosphere changes. And what you need to do as a sniper to blend into your surroundings is you need to vegetate, or we call it veg up. And what you do is you take vegetation from your surrounding area and you stuff it inside of the backside on top, and then you also ghillie up you vegetate your rifle as well. All of our rifles had rubber bands and bungee cords all over them so that we could vegetate our rifles to blend into surroundings. Not only would we vegetate ourselves and our rifles, but we would usually sit either in front of or behind a bush, tree, other vegetative sites. And then we would also transplant vegetation in front of us in different locations, breaking off branches or limbs or anything like that, to put in front of us, between us and our targets, so that we could be completely concealed. And a good rule of thumb when you're a sniper is the knowledge of knowing that concealment is not cover. So it's good to know. Rounds can go through concealment, not cover. This is a picture of one of my chief scouts. When I was first in the platoon, he was showing us what you need to do as a scout sniper to camouflage yourself. This gentleman's name is Chris Sharon. He was probably one of the best snipers that I ever knew. Just absolutely outstanding. Him and his partner won the Marine Corps Scout Sniper competition 2 years in a row, 2001 and 2002, right before I got to the platoon. But this is him in his ghillie suit, not while we were in the Marine Corps. This was taken years later. But that's, essentially what you want to do with your ghillie suit is you want to throw some vegetation inside of it so that you can become one with your surroundings. This is another stock photo of a Marine Scout sniper. I don't know who this is. I found it on the internet, but I thought it was a really cool picture. And it is a good representation of how you would vegetate your rifle and yourself in front of your concealment to blend in with your surroundings. Blending in with your surroundings does not necessarily mean that you have to be inside of the bush. You can be in front of it in almost plain daylight, but when somebody's looking at you through optics, it's very difficult to tell the depth perception between you and the bush that you're hiding in front of or behind. So we would either set up in this kind of a situation or configuration where this guy is situated in front of the vegetation that he's blending in with behind him. And I'm sure that it's not pictured here, but I'm sure that he has some either transplanted vegetation in front of him or just natural vegetation in front of him as well. This is not a ghillie suit. This is a blob of crap. Okay? This is known as like the ghillie man, right? But it's just a blob of burlap and different colors and patterns. I'm sure it could work, but it's not what Marine Scout snipers use. We use very little burlap or anything like that. It's just to break up your outline, and then you vegetate that. So, leading me into Iraq. Again, I was with 3rd Battalion, 2nd Marines. Our mission was to go to Al Anbar Province and replace a Marine unit there called, and they were 1-7, 1st Battalion, 7th Marines. We were stationed in Husaybah, Iraq, which is a very small little city, but it was a key point in Iraq because it was just two clicks south of the Euphrates River, and it was a main thoroughway for foreign fighters coming in and out of, mainly coming in, from Syria to infiltrate and fight Marines. That's basically what they wanted to do. They wanted to come in and fight Americans. We were the first city that they could do that in. I was part of Operation Matador and Operation Spear, but because of our situation where we were located with Lima Company, where we were located with India Company, we were more on the outskirts of those two main operations, which were, they were more of larger battalion operations that were pushing people towards our city, foreign fighters, towards our city. And then I have a couple stories that I'm going to tell you guys about. Operation Matador, again, was a military offensive conducted by the Marine Corps against insurgents positioned in Iraq's northwestern Anbar province, which ran from the 8th of May 2005 to the 19th of May 2005. It was focused on eliminating insurgents and foreign fighters in a region known as a smuggler route and a sanctuary for foreign fighters. In mid-May, again, Task Force 3-2, elements of Task Force 325, which was a reserve battalion, the 4th Amphibious Assault Battalion, 2nd Light Armored Reconnaissance Battalion, Bravo Company, Combat Engineers, 2nd Platoon of the 1st Tank Battalion, and other detachments from Helos, Cobras, and we always had Hueys on station, F-18s on station, and this detachment of Cobras, which is really nice to hear when you're in a gunfight. Excellent to hear rotors overhead when you're in a gunfight, because they usually just start running. So I don't know, does this have a laser pointer on it?
Yes.
It does.
Button in the middle.
Button in the middle. Aha, perfect. Okay, so Operation Matador started from the base that we had was way down south. It's not pictured here, but basically what our battalion was doing was going up into Ubaidi, clearing this city up in Ubaidi, and then they were crossing the river. They had to wait for some combat army engineers to build a bridge, and then once the bridge was built, they moved over here, cleared New Ubaidi, and then pushed forward this way and along the north and south side of the river, pushing everybody out towards Huseba, which is where I was located. Our base was in the top northwestern corner of Huseba, where we conducted our missions and stuff like that. It was a pretty successful mission. So this is a close-up of Huseba. Again, our base was right over here. That is no longer there. And then this is the Syrian border right here. I slept about there. So we were very close to the Syrian border. We would actually sometimes watch the Syrian border guards get into firefights with the insurgents or foreign fighters while they were trying to cross over. Syria wasn't really, they didn't get too involved, but they did protect their borders as much as they could. Yeah. Let me see. This is a better picture. One night we were going up on a mission, and this is the Syrian border right here, and actually got stuck between foreign fighters over here and the Syrian border posts. We got stuck in between a firefight between those guys, and we were in a wadi that we were just running through. And I remember asking my team leader, should we return fire? And he said, no, just keep going. That doesn't involve us. We're like, okay. So we just kind of waddled under the firefight as they were exchanging rounds. It was pretty funny. So I have a couple stories to share with you guys. The first one is I titled First Blood. It was our first interaction with any kind of foreign fighter. And it was our third day on base. And we got called out to post Foxtrot, which was, let me pull it up. Hold on. Here. All right, so our base was here, and post Foxtrot was right about here, just on the south side of the base. And this area is known as the 440. Marines are pretty smart, so there was 440 homes in that area, so we titled it 440.
Well, you could count that out.
Amazingly. So we had this this guy who was, believe it or not, he was digging a hole on the north side of the 440 area. And our rules of engagement at the time for our base was if anybody was digging anywhere, and I mean the dirt, the area, the ground in that area was about as hard as concrete. So trying to dig anything, there was no real purpose in digging anything, unless you were planting an IED, of course. So post Foxtrot calls in to the COC, which is the command center, and asked for us to come out and check out what was going on. So they called snipers because it was about 400 or 500 yards out, which is outside of the max capability of the M16, accurately. So we go out there, and we get to post Foxtrot, and there is already in the post the Lance Corporal and PFC that were standing in the post. There was the company gunnery sergeant, the platoon commander, the company XO, and the company CO of India Company. And then it was me and my team leader, Carl. So there's about 9 guys in this tiny little, maybe 8x8 post that is elevated up off the ground, probably about 15 feet, maybe 10 or 15 feet, just over, looking over the HESCO barrier wall, which was about 14 foot tall. So, and it's a wooden structure. And with all these 9 guys in there breathing and talking and just standing there, the post is starting to shake a little bit. And so they expected us, they said, well, what is this guy doing? So we said, well, it looks like he's just digging a hole, sir. And he goes, all right, well, does he have anything with him? I said, well, he's got a wheelbarrow with a shovel and some wires hanging out of the top of the wheelbarrow. So he said, okay, so why don't you guys take a warning shot and just go right over his head? I didn't say anything. My team leader looks at the captain, the CEO of India Company, and he said, sir, we don't do warning shots. You either want him dead or we don't shoot at all. And the reasoning for that is because if we take a warning shot, they don't know that we're missing intentionally. And we don't want them to think that we are not good at our jobs. So, if you want him dead, you just let us know. And he said, okay, let me think about it. So, he consulted with the company XO, and he said, all right, go ahead and take the shot. We said, all right, roger that. So, my team leader, Carl, got the rifle ready, took the shot. We said, thank you very much. See you later. And we left the post. And that was it. The guy just fell down. But that was the first, our first engagement. Or am I? The RPG shot. This was taken, let's see. This was not our first mission, but this was the one of the platoons of India Company's first mission. And what they were doing was performing a raid on a building on the southeast side of the city. So they moved inside of AAVs, ran in, and we're going to do this raid on this house that was suspected terrorist, insurgent activity, and stronghold kind of a place. We were stationed about 300 or 400 yards south of them on top of this train track that we were providing overwatch for. So the infantry Marines, we called them crunchies. They would roll in. They rolled in their AAVs and performed their job. They did their raid on the building, found a whole bunch of munitions, gathered them all up, threw them in the AAVs, and as they were leaving the site, we stayed as overwatch. As they were leaving the site in their AAVs, this guy comes out and with an RPG right out in the middle of the street, gets down on a knee and starts aiming in at the AAV. So my team leader, Carl, and our tail end Charlie guy, his name was Kurt, they just start unloading on this guy. Took 3 or 4 rounds each and took out the target before he could shoot the RPG. And so we thought it was pretty cool. And so we went down, we radioed in what was going on after the shots were taken, and let the CO know that we were going to go down and investigate, because we wanted to recover that RPG. So we go down there, and it was the craziest thing in the world, because we got down there, the guy hadn't moved, he was deceased, but he was splayed out, arms wide open, legs crossed, and RPG over his head just laying there. And he looked like Jesus on the cross. It was very weird. But we recovered the RPG and went back to base. We always walked everywhere. There was too many IEDs going on and RPGKs and stuff like that. So yeah, we always just walked everywhere. So we walked all the way back around the south side and back up north to get back on base. Let's see. Longest shot. Longest shot, let's see. That was taken by my friend Kenny. And it was 985 yards. If you guys don't know, that's about almost just shy of 10 football fields. As scout snipers, we train to shoot 1,000 yards with our 7.62 or 308 rifle. So, and our targets are usually a 10-inch circle. So shooting at 985 was just at the maximum capabilities of our weapon systems. So it was really interesting. We were up on post, standing on top of one of the buildings that we had on our base. And a lot of our missions were a lot of our shots were taken from our base because we didn't really have to go anywhere, The fight usually came to us. So we're standing on top of this post, and it's me and Kenny. And I find this guy about way at the far south side of the city. And they had no idea that we could even see them. It was kind of between some buildings and whatnot. So, and this guy had his back to us, and he was talking to these 3 guys in front of him. And they all had AK-47s slung across their chest with a bandolier of rounds on them, all in their head jabs and whatever those are called. So he's talking to these guys about, probably giving them some orders or telling them what they need to do and stuff like that. So I told my friend Kenny, I was like, hey man, you think you can put a round right between his shoulder blades? And he was like, well, how far is it? I was like, oh, it's like 985. He's like, oh, man, I don't know. That's a pretty far shot. I was like, it's all right. We got the dope, which is the elevation and windage call that I made for him. And so he was like, let's give it a try. So we called into COC, told them that we were going to be firing. They said, roger that, go ahead. and he sends the round downrange. And at that distance, with a 20 power spotting scope, you can actually see the round traveling downrange. And you can see like these bubbles, like from the Matrix. That actually happens. It's called a vapor trail, okay? And you can see the round arc up and then come right back down and hit that target. If it's a clear, nice day, which it was. So it was pretty cool because that guy's chest pretty much exploded all over the three guys in front of them, and they immediately, just the expressions on their face was just utter confusion, and then slowly went to extremely scared, and then they just fell, hit the deck, and I don't know what happened to them after that, but none of them were injured. But I think they got the message that we could see them. Let's see. Oh, the insurgent sniper story. This is a really, this I think is probably one of the coolest things that we have done while we were there. So the AK-47 family of weapons has a sniper rifle or similar compatibility type rifle. It's called a Dragunov, and it shoots the same round, a 7.62 round, a little bit more power behind it than the AK-47 round. But those were very sought after type of rifles for the insurgents to get, because they could reach out and touch American lives from a greater distance. The AK rifle is really only good to about 300 or 400 yards. A Dragunov is capabilities out to 800 yards. They say 1,000, but I don't really believe that. So I'm out on post one day, same exact rooftop that we took out that other guy from, and I find this guy walks out of this building on the third story, and he is just kind of walking around with an AK slung across his chest. So I say, "Hey, Kenny, I got a target for you." He's like, "Okay, cool. What do you got?" And I believe it was somewhere around 600 or 700 yards out, very much inner city. So we were shooting between buildings, and then this other guy pops out with an RPK, which is a belt-fed machine gun of the same kind of AK family. And so I said, "Oh, wait, we need another shooter." I have a second gunman on that same balcony. And luckily, at that point in time of the day, my team leader, Carl, was up there as well. And they both had their M40s with them. And so I was like, "Oh, this is going to be really cool. We're going to get to take a double shot," which is not very common to do in combat situations. So I was getting everybody set up with their dope, windage and elevation calls, and then a third guy comes out with the Dragunov. And I said, "Holy shit, you guys are not going to believe this." And they were like, "What?" I said, "A third shooter came out, and he's got a Dragunov, and he's just standing right in the middle of the doorway." And so my team leader, Carl, says, "Well, we don't have another shooter with us." I said, "I'll go get our team leader. Or I'll go get our chief scout at the time was with us up on our base at the time. So I said, I'll go grab him, let him know. It was just the next building over. And so I'll wake him up and let him know that we're going to take the shot and that we need a third shooter. He's like, "Okay, cool." Because we were on reverse schedule. So we would go to sleep at about 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, and then wake up at 6, 7 o'clock at night. So it was kind of dusk timeline. So he wasn't really up and moving yet. So I run down there and I get CJ, and I say, "Hey, we got 3 shooters up on the rooftop. We're going to take one shot and get all 3 of them." He said, "Awesome. Grab this asser." I said, okay, roger that. So if you guys don't know what a sasser is the Marine Corps', it's a M82A1. It is the 50 caliber sniper rifle that we use mostly used on equipment and vehicles to disable. So he was shooting at the rifle. So we get all three shooters ready, and I do the countdown. And in the Marine Corps, you shoot your shooters will shoot on the T of 2. So you count down from 5. You go 5, 4, 3, 2, and everybody pulls the trigger on 2, on the T of 2. So I did my countdown. All 3 rounds go off at the same time. They sound like one round, one being the 50 caliber sniper rifle, which was much louder than the M40s. All 3 targets went down all at the same time. It was really, really pretty cool whole situation. And then there's the I don't know how I'm doing on time. 5 minutes? Okay, cool. So water pump station story is probably one of my closest encounters with an insurgent. We had this, let me go back a slide. Maybe forward a slide? Yeah, forward a slide. Okay, so right here is the Euphrates River, okay? And there's a water pump station right about there that supplied the city of Husaybah with its drinking water. I would not recommend drinking that water, but that's what they drink. So we had intelligence told us, some intel guys on base, told us that there was going to be a weapons cache exchange on this particular night up at the water pump station. So we said, okay, roger that. Sounds like a pretty cool mission. We'll go up there and see what's going on, see what we can see. So we went up there, and this was one of the missions that we had our ghillie suits on for, because we were really excited about it, because we got to wear our ghillie suits out in Iraq, which was kind of an anomaly because it's mostly just rock and desert. But this area, there was a lot of foliage up there. All of these buildings that you see here now were not there in 2005. There were maybe 5 or 10 total buildings up there, which were just very, very small farmhouses. So we patrol up there, get set up for some observations. Myself and my team leader were kind of camouflaged and concealed in this pile of debris with some vegetation growing through it and whatnot. So I was on the south side of it, he was on the northern side of it, and then the rest of the team of, I think there was like six other Marines in our team, were inside the water pump station, just kind of waiting for these guys to show up. So at about like 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, we were just sitting there for about 30 or 45 minutes, maybe an hour. And this truck shows up, and it parks about 30 or 40 yards away from us. And I was like, okay, all right, cool. So the guys inside the base, inside the pump station, radioed to us with our little earbuds in. He said, hey, you guys got a truck coming. We're like, all right, roger that. And so the truck stops. Hey, truck stopped. Okay, all right, cool. Because we weren't moving at all. And then 2 guys get out of the truck, and they start walking towards us, but also on the path up to the river. So they said, hey, you guys got 2 guys. They both have AKs slung, and they're walking towards your position. I was like, okay, roger that. I was the first one that they were coming up on. And so they start walking up, and they stopped. And then one guy makes an immediate left-hand turn and starts walking directly at me. And he was about 10 feet away from me when he started walking. And then started, kept coming closer and closer and closer. And I didn't know if he had seen me or if he hadn't seen me, but I was getting my knife ready to pull out because I didn't want to create too much noise if something were to go down, because we didn't want to disrupt the overall mission, which was to capture their weapons cache that was coming across the river. So I had a hand on a knife, hand on my pistol, and I was ready to do whatever was needed at the time. So this guy stops about 2 or 3 feet in front of me and just to my right. And he starts to pee. So I was like, well, obviously he doesn't see me. So I'm not going to move. So I stayed there. I kind of tilted my head down just slightly. And he finished doing what he was doing, turned around, and they both started walking back towards the river. So I was like, wow, that's pretty amazing. And the guys on the radio were freaking out. They were like, how close was he? Where was he? I was like, what did he do? I was like, well, he peed right next to me. They were like, oh man, that's crazy. He didn't see you? I was like, well, I don't think that he saw me. Because if he saw me, he probably would want to shoot me. But, so they went up to the river, and then we came out. They were out of sight, maybe like 50 or 60 yards further up the road where the riverbank was. And so we get back, we pulled out of our hide site, my team leader and I, and we go back into the water pump station. And they're like, dude, that was insane. I was like, yeah, it was pretty crazy. And so we heard these 2 boat motors coming in from Syria on the Euphrates River. So we said, okay, so let's do what we came out here to do. So we all got out of the water pump station and walked in like a crescent U shape to assault the guys. We didn't know how many guys they had. We only knew that they had 2 guys. We didn't know how many guys were in the boats with the weapons cache. So we came up on them, and the boat motors turned off, and that's when we knew that they were busy, unloading their boats. And their boats were very small, primitive canoe-type boats with probably like a little bit better than a trolling motor on it. And so there was about 6 more guys in the boats with all these weapons caches. And then the 2 guys were there. They were all offloading all of these crates onto the shoreline. So we get up behind them, and I was, for some reason, dead center of our team. And they said, you're going to lead off the ambush just by pulling your bolt back. I said, okay. So, I don't know if I told you guys this. I had the M249 saw, which is a belt-fed, fully automatic weapon that we used because we needed, in working in a small 6 to 8 man team, you need some kind of superior firepower. So that was me. I carried the saw with us on every mission that we went on, just so that we could have some form of fully automatic weapon with us at all times. So, which is also operated from an open bolt position, not a closed bolt position like the M16 or the M4s and stuff like that. So, to kick off the ambush, I pulled the bolt back on the saw, and they all immediately froze, and all of our team guys started hooting and hollering and yelling at them to stop what they were doing and get down, and they very much obliged because they didn't want to die. And we had superior, we had totally caught them off guard and completely, completely by surprise. So we captured all I think there was 6 or 7 of those guys. So we had all of them bagged and tagged, and we were had them up on top of the bank. We were waiting for extract for the to get those guys back to camp, and then we had some Humvee teams come in to get all the weapons caches, bring them back to base. And what we would do with those is we just had them in a really deep pit, and our EOD guys would come by every once in a while and detonate the whole thing, and it was a really loud boom. And then we sank the boats. So we put some holes in the bottoms of the boats, sank those, rendered their motors seized, and then we were wondering what to do with the truck that they had left there. So we radioed back to the CO. We said, "What do you want us to do with this truck?" He said, "Well, is it clear?" We said, "Yeah, there's no munitions or bombs or any mines on it or anything like that." He said, "Well, just drive it back on base." We said, "Oh, okay." So I got up on top of it with the saw, and I felt like a Humvee kind of turret gunner for about 5 minutes. And our point man, who could drive anything on wheels, and just so you guys know, reference-wise, their vehicles are extremely small. So you got 6 Marines or 5 Marines in the back seat in the bed of that truck, and then one crazy guy driving it who was a mountain of a man. It was just a really, really funny picture. But yeah, so that was that. Yep, wrapping up right now. And then here's some pictures of me and my platoon mates in the next couple of slides while we were in Iraq. And then let's see, this is my team right here, and these are other teams. They were more so operated out of the Al-Qaim area region, which was about 15-20 miles to our southeast. And there's some more of my teammates. This is right before the water pump station mission, right here when we had our ghillie suits on. This was just some other mission. We all decided to grow really cool mustaches, and those that didn't really smile very often. And then this is what the saw is. It's a belt-fed, fully automatic weapon. And then these are some pictures of some guys during Operation Matador and Operation Spear. Oh, this is our dog Shooter. Just a little Iraqi dog that we picked up on base. Oh, we would play Monopoly in the mornings, evenings, to kill some time. Oh, haircuts. You still needed to have a fresh haircut every week or so while you were in Iraq. So this was an explosion that happened that actually disabled an AAV during Operation Matador. So here's a picture of 2 of my buddies during Operation Matador. As you can see, they were wearing smocks and not your traditional ghillie suits to more so kind of blend in with the terrain that we had faced over there. And this is a picture of my team. These are the HESCO barrier walls that protected and surrounded our base. This is a picture of our platoon during CAX at a place called Bill's Rock Pile. It's not actually a Marine Corps base, but it is where Marine Corps units would send their sniper platoons to do long distance, elevated, and angled shooting training while we were out there. And that's pretty much it. Oh, this picture of passing the torch. One of my platoon mates here, with his son who just graduated Marine Corps boot camp 2 years ago. He was 1 year old when we got back from Iraq. So it's a pretty cool story. And then stay together. This is a picture of our platoon, some of our platoon reunions that we've been to that I organize. We've been getting together at least once a year since 2007, when we all pretty much got out in 2006, and we've had a reunion of some sort of type. At least two of us have gotten together every year since 2006. So it's been really fun. Guys that I've been to battle with and still talk with today, and that's true to today. So thank you all very much.
All right, so I know y'all are like me and you're brimming with questions. We're running a little late. Maybe you want to take, Carrie has something. Can you speak loud, Carrie?
For your speech, I really enjoyed it. Did you ever get compromised before or after a shot?
Did you ever get compromised before or after a shot?
Yes. It's a long story.
Any other quick question?
One quick, what's the muzzle velocity on that rifle you shoot?
What is the muzzle velocity?
Muzzle velocity of the M40 A3 is 2,600 plus or minus 50.
And the rounds you use, what kind of,
7.62 by 51.
and grain size?
175 grains.
One more quick. Back here.
How long was your sniper school?
How long was sniper school?
Sniper school was 13 weeks long.
Where was it?
There were 3 scout sniper schools when we had them in the Marine Corps. One was in Quantico, one was in Stone Bay, right next to Camp Lejeune, and the other was in Hawaii. That was actually the hardest one.
Last one.
How does the spotter judge wind, the heat waves coming up off the ground if it's hot, etc.?
So how does a spotter judge wind? So it's in training, you have flags, right, at every 100 yards. But when you're out in the field or if you're out in Iraq, there are no flags to help you with windage calls or anything like that. So what we would do is we would look at just regular terrain, trees, bushes, anything that we could use, dust clouds that pop up, anything that we could use to gauge some kind of windage call. And that wasn't always from left to right. Sometimes it was left to right at 150, 200 yards, and then it was right to left at 300 or 400 yards, 500 yards, and then it could be another crosswind at another yard line further down than that. So it's all math, basically. I don't really remember the calculations right now.
Marines do math. Marines do math?
Occasionally.
Occasionally. All right, we're going to go to this Marine right here. This is the last question.
What's that?
Average temperature you operate in?
Oh, average temperature we operated in while we were in Iraq, it got up to 126 one day. But the evenings would cool off to about 90.
All right, thanks. Before you go, I'd like to give you our challenge coin.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah. And one other thing. So you have a lot of stories, and all these folks have a lot of stories.
Yes.
And we've put them into 3 different books. This is version number 1, I'm Ready to Talk. So when you're really bored, you need something to put you to sleep, read Ray's story. Marine Ray back here. But pick a story.
Thank you.
Thank you. We enjoyed your talk. Thank you very much.